KHTS studio, we have got an awesome show planned out today. My name is Cardon Ellis, and I am your host. I'm here with Mark Murphy.
Hey, a boomer, a former Republican whose party left him and somehow has become a confused Democrat, and most of my friends still can't figure out which side I'm on.
Confused being the key word, and we've got the illustrious and the embattled and the strong Steve Knight, Congressman Steve Knight from the 25th District.
Well, thank you, Cardon. Thank you, Mark. Thanks for having me on.
We still got to get those people that cheer or some kind of really cool clapping tracks on the radio. They think that our studio is full of an amazing studio audience.
Pom-poms.
Yeah, they don't realize it's 6 of us right here just sweating it out in the hot box. So anyway, we've got an amazing show today. We, fortunately, the congressman has been so gracious as to come on the show here. And I do have to say, I give incredible props to the congressman for coming on. A lot of candidates and political figures get more and more and more and more scared closer to election season to open their mouths and to put themselves in front of the cameras. And simply engaging is a feat in and of itself nowadays. So we have got a lot of things to cover today, and I'm pretty excited to jump right into this. Before we go anywhere, though, I sent out a Facebook post asking for questions. So the congressman is going to get a bunch of questions today from Santa Clarita and a couple of Agua Dulce, Acton, and Palmdale residents. And we only have one thing of news I was asked to cover, that Floyd Mayweather's kid apparently graduated from West Ranch, and it's causing a big political stir of people almost angered that it has become newsworthy, because apparently that's a new hip word we all like throwing around, is newsworthy. But I think I have a pretty good idea why it's newsworthy.
Hey, I'm just a resident of Santa Clarita from Canyon Country. We're the last to know anything.
We still track, like, Elvis Presley's kids. You know, Kim Kardashian went to the Oval Office this week, and I mean, I really doubt she was talking the nuts and bolts of tax reform. So, you know, if she's making it on the front page of Twitter because she was in the Oval Office, I think we could pat Floyd Mayweather's kid on the back for graduating from high school, right? Okay, so Floyd Mayweather's kid. Good job, brother. Good job. So, here, let's dive right in.
Can I hit this real fast? I mean, one of the things, even as a Democrat, I'm one of those people with Boy Scouts who recognize the man of character that Congressman Steve Knight is. And in 2015, we had him accept the Leaders of Character Award for Santa Clarita that benefits our scouting up here. We've got about 2,500 kids at all different ages who participate. But Steve, you are an example of the kind of ethical strength, a strong man of character, from your military service to your law enforcement to your willingness to be here tonight. And I thank you for that.
No, thank you, Mark. That was a
warm fuzzies.
Huge honor. You know, my wife and I are huge advocates of scouting. And it's funny, I was never a scout. My dad was never a scout. My boys were scouts for, I think, 1 year. But we love what happens in scouting, and we think it's the embodiment of kind of America and how you build great character. So we appreciate that award. It was a huge honor.
Thank you.
Hey, that's actually how me and Mark met.
Yeah, through
Scouts. We were at the Merit Badge Midway last year, and you were teaching the Citizenship in the Nation Merit Badge.
Yeah, from a very positive democratic perspective.
Yeah, you were doing it wrong, and I had to go in there and set some of these poor kids straight.
He tried to explain to me that John Adams was a founding father, and I
No. I said John Adams was a great mind, and the founding fathers leaned a little bit more this way than your way. And those poor children, I salvaged them from the throes of the D word. So anyway, I did my good turn daily.
They were 11, so it was very exciting.
So anyway, Congressman, this is the first round. Everybody plays nice in the first round.
Okay.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, about your career, what made you want to get into public service. Give us the story.
Wow. Well, I'll give you the nuts and bolts. You know, I was a cop with LAPD, 18 years. Before that, I graduated Palmdale High School and then went into the Army for a few years, came out, went to college, got married, went into the police department, have 2 great boys, 24 and 20, both work. One's an EMT and one works in a sales.
They both work. You notice that?
They both work.
Yeah.
It's the measure of a good power.
Let me tell you, that's one of the great things about being a parent and having kids move out is have a job and be able to pay your bills and all that. It was funny. We got to spend the day with them yesterday, and they're both doing well. I couldn't be any more proud of them. But it's going well. It is. Life is going well. Everybody's healthy. Everybody's fairly happy. Keeping our stress level pretty low as much as we can. We don't reach Facebook a lot, so that helps out. But no, it's good.
And I don't think a lot of people recognize you spend a lot of time in Washington, D.C., and then you have to come all the way across the country, and you keep a close tabs and participate in a lot of activities here. That's not an easy job.
Well, I love living in Southern California, so I love coming home, but I did do 70 trips across the country last year. That's a big part of this job is you got to know when you're going in, you are a West Coast congressman, you're going to have to go across country a whole bunch, and it's stressful. It's 11 hours a week in the airplane, and then you've got to battle the LAX traffic, which isn't any fun. But all that being said, it's an honor. It's an absolute honor to represent this district, and I enjoy every minute of it. It is one of the greatest things I've been able to do in life.
I was actually reading that you have traveled back and forth between Washington something 70 times.
70 times.
This year already?
70 last year.
Okay, you have to come at me with some stats because a huge complaint of the American public is the inaccessibility of their congressman. And I have to say, I myself went to Buck McKeon's office as a senior in high school after my mission in Argentina, and one other time physically in person, not just a letter, physically in person to volunteer in 3 different campaigns of his. I offered my services, and he never even got back to me. He had a straight up volunteer with door-to-door experience offering to help him out, and he never got back to me. And Steve Knight has flown backwards and forwards 70 times in the district. I give you credit, sir.
Let's understand. Most of the congressmen, I get on an airplane on Monday morning or Tuesday morning, depending on the week. And I sit with Maxine Waters, I sit with Pete Aguilar, I sit with Tony Cardon Ellis. I think I'm the only Republican on that flight.
I was about going to say, you're next to Kerosene Maxine, man. Whoa!
But you see a lot of these people every week, and that's part of the mission is you got to be in your district, and then when it's D.C. time, you got to be in D.C. So if they want to move D.C. to like Monterey, that might help out a little for me, but I don't think they're going to do that.
Let's don't talk about that secession movement.
But
no.
I have to know, though. I have to know, what is that flight like? I mean, some of these meetings can get vicious there. I watch C-SPAN, okay? I'm that geek that actually, if I'm cruising and C-SPAN is on, and I actually subscribe and pay the extra $1 for like C-SPAN 3 or whatever it is, I will actually stop on C-SPAN, and my wife hates it. And she always knows that I've driven her car by the radio station not being on music, and she will literally text me and just get angry. But she's lovely, don't get me wrong, but she can tell when, I've been up to my political nonsense. And I will stop and I'll watch C-SPAN, and that can be heated. So there has to be some awkward flights.
We appreciate the 22 people that watch us. We love that.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. All right. So basically, we were really grateful, very excited that you wanted to come on the show. I was asking a couple of my friends to come up with questions that they had for you, and they're a little bit controversial, so save it for when we get back from the break. But one of the questions I did say is, if you had to describe your feeling of the 25th District now in one word, what would you choose? And somebody has actually, before I tell you what other people said, what would you say right now? If you had to choose one word to describe your experience right now. It's awesome. All right, so you're surprisingly positive. I heard embattled. Embattled. And I think that's actually a pretty good word, because something that has blown my mind, and we spoke with Jess Phoenix about this, and what made me so excited to talk to you in person is the amount of an uphill battle your service in this district has been over the past, 6 to 12 months. Between people blocking your office. I'm looking at the reports of the windows getting broken for X, Y, or Z reason. Just the amount of flack you're getting back. I'm thinking a guy serving in North LA County as a Republican right now in this political climate deserves our respect by simply just getting the job done.
Remember, discourse is part of American history. You get to voice your opinion. I think that that's part of America that's great. I don't think that part of America is that if you disagree with me, then we're never going to talk again. But if you have a disagreement and you can start working through it, that is what most people want. When they talk to me, they say, hey, how can you get to a compromise? How can you get something done on the major issues, whether it be immigration or the economy or foreign relations or whatever? How can you get to that compromise? The only way you do that is by two people that disagree getting somewhere close. And so, I'm not a big fan of the protests and things like that, but that is part of America. It really is. So that's just part of living in this district. It's okay.
I had something happen talking to some of my friends who are conservatives, and they brought up that, well, if you protest, you're anti-patriotic. And I went, I don't know. That's not how I saw my time in the military. I saw that as patriotism maybe kept me out of going to Vietnam at one point. So I kind of looked at it and went, patriotism was the fact that we protested against a certain king and we became free.
I think you voice your opinion. If you disagree with your representative, you voice your opinion. Again, it's got to be civil discourse. And sometimes it goes over the edge, and we're now talking about some folks that don't want to listen to a disagreement. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's unhealthy. But if you disagree and you can get to a part where you're talking it out, or at least talking to somebody you don't agree with, that's okay. That's a good part. That's a good thing.
So Steve Knight is a glutton for punishment, and he doesn't mind the protest. No, just kidding. All right, so we've got a bunch of really cool questions for you, and we want to dig straight into the nitty-gritty. We're going to go on a short commercial break here really fast before we do that. But get on Facebook Live, look up KHTS Radio. If you actually comment right now, share and comment, and you got any questions to add to our queue, I've got a slot open for about 4 or 5 additional questions that I want to be asked on the fly. Get on Facebook Live, download the app, or tune in to AM 1220 or 98.1, or text out your friends to tune into it, because obviously you're already listening to us. And give us your questions for Congressman Steve Knight. We will be back in a flash. Don't touch that dial.
On Saturday, June 9, the Church on the Way Santa Clarita is hosting Medical Mission Adventures, a free clinic that offers medical, dental, and vision services. This event allows those without insurance to receive the best professional care at no cost. The doors open at 9 a.m. on June 9, and services are rendered first come, first serve. The Church on the Way Santa Clarita is located on Cinema Drive. For more information about this event and others coming up, visit our website at tcotwsc.org.
If you are at least 55 years of age and have a torn or irreparable rotator cuff, you may be eligible for a no-cost clinical trial at Southern California's Orthopedic Institute's Valencia Clinic. Call 818-901-6600 extension 1525 or visit rotatorcuffstudy.com to learn about a study of an investigational shoulder implant. Call 818-901-6600 extension 1525 or visit rotatorcuffstudy.com. Sponsored by Microair Surgical Instruments.
Looking for the best return on your investment? Do you want your hard-earned dollars stretched to do the most good for your community? That means that out of every dollar donated, a full 99 cents goes directly to the need being addressed. Help the Children is in Santa Clarita, helping Santa Clarita families and other Santa Clarita charities. When compared to more than 1.2 million charities in America, Help the Children is rated the 7th most efficient charity in the nation, operating on a 1% overhead, and we receive no government funding for our operations in the community. If you are looking to donate to the good of the Santa Clarita community, please consider partnering with Help the Children. What is donated specifically for Santa Clarita is kept in Santa Clarita and will help over 5,000 families and over 10 other agencies. Please visit our website and or call our office to make a difference in our awesome town community. 702-8852, helpthechildren.org.
There's only one Santa Clarita plastic surgeon who is Yale trained and board certified, Dr. Justin Heller.
To be a board certified plastic surgeon like myself, what that truly entails is about 5 to 7 years of honed surgical training in reconstructive, all areas, as well as aesthetic, so which means your facelifts, your breast augmentations, your body contouring, true training, and board certification. In fact, that's the only board certified area that can be achieved in this realm.
Dr. Justin Heller, warm, understanding, always available for guidance because he's local. HellerPlasticSurgery.com.
The best live theater can be found right here in the Santa Clarita Valley. The Canyon Theater Guild has been entertaining audiences for decades with top quality musicals and plays. Located on Main Street in Old Town Newhall, CTG also offers workshops for the young actor in your family. For more information, call the box office at 799-2702 or go online to canyontheater.org.
Hey, welcome back to Problem Solver Politics. It's 7:23 p.m. in the afternoon. We're back in the studio again with Mark Murphy and Steve Knight. All right, Mark, I believe you got some questions in honor of our last guest, Jess Phoenix.
Yes, and exactly because Jess is the volcanologist who did some work in Hawaii and has brought
endorsed
some things
by
up.
Gays in Space.
Oh, come on.
It
It's
was
also,
the
hey,
gays
come
in
on, I can do it.
space.
But more importantly, very smart individual who pointed out a couple of things. Look, we've had 4 of the hottest years on record since 1895 in this decade. So we know things are heating up. We know that there's challenges. How do you feel about the withdrawal from the Paris Accord and climate change in general?
Well, I don't mind that we pulled away from the Paris Accord. I really don't. I think as long as we're still working toward our goals, then we're okay.
Okay.
I do think that there are problems. We can't put pollution into the air. We can't put a lot of garbage into the air and then expect that it doesn't affect our climate. So I do think that there is probably a cyclical event going on right now.
Okay.
Because if you go back about 25 years ago, I can remember we were talking about we're going into the next ice age. So I would say that you put all those together, but you can't say that all of the pollution that's going up into our atmosphere is not doing something. I just can't go that route.
Thank you. And because that kind of also reminds me of the other thing. We looked at easy things to tackle. And one of them that came up was can be a solution possibly, and that's all the infrastructure spending. If we can find ways to do things smarter, more efficiently, we can keep those cars from being on the freeway as much as they are. You've been trying to do some things on infrastructure. We felt like we had a Secretary of Transportation was ready to go, seasoned experience with the ability to get some things done. What have you been able to do or heading towards at this point?
So we've reached out to Secretary Chow several times. We're trying to get her out to the district. We want her to see the 5 freeway where it splits off from, or where the 14 goes up north and the 5 kind of goes up north, but kind of northwest there. We want her to come out and see that. We think that that's one of the biggest choke points in California, if not the biggest choke point. When the goods get off the ships there and they're going north and they've got to go northern California or out, they've got to go through Santa Clarita. That's the way it is. And so we've applied for a fast lane grant. City of Santa Clarita has been very, very aggressive. And we want Secretary Chow to come out. We have had Representative Denham come out. He's second in charge of T&I in the House. He's come out a couple times. He's seen that. He knows of the problems that are happening here. But our aggressiveness on Secretary Chow will continue until we can get her out here. But I agree. I think that she's got to kind of see those projects, not those shovel-ready projects, those projects that, you know what, if you gave us the money, within a couple weeks you would see this. Because I think everybody used that shovel-ready, and then we found out, well, that doesn't really mean right now. Could mean in 6 months, could mean a year, could mean right now, but we want to identify those projects, and maybe across the country that we can say, you know what, if you funded this project right now, you would see people working on this within a month. And that's kind of the responsibility we want of government, too. If we're going to put out taxpayers' money, let's see some responsibility of what's going to happen. Not saying that it's going to take 6 months, a year before we get anything going. So,
well, what are some projects that we are working on now or can work on now? Because people my age, we all know climate change is real. And whenever there's a fight over something environmental, one of the biggest frustrations for guys like me is these accusations of science denier and all this other stuff that are obviously nonsensical, but somehow get 100,000 hits on YouTube. But we do sometimes wonder what can be done and what is getting done in the 25th district specifically. Obviously, our district can't change the world. I agreed with pulling out of the Paris Accords. There's no reason to punish America's economy just because to show leadership that we believe in it more, okay? Everybody that has looked at a map and knows the Great Salt Lake was created by a glacier 10,000 years ago knows that we've had 7 to 10 ice ages, and they're going to recede and come back over these hundreds of thousands of years in geological history, and we're just fleas on the back of a dog that do need to prepare for something that is happening. But the hysteria, I feel, sometimes is a little unwarranted. But we do want to think, for example, okay, there's something getting done, because I see a frustration, for example, that sometimes the things we do that do get heavy funding I view as failures. I look at the carpool lane, for example. Okay, we tried it. A decade ago, we started putting these carpool lanes in, but there's been 7 or 8 studies in different states that have been done showing that it creates traffic in the non-carpool lanes earlier, alleviates it later. And the truth is, when you actually look at how much carbon emissions you save in the carpool lane, it's not more than what you lose by causing more traffic in the other lanes. So the truth is, if you're a real environmentalist that actually wants to reduce carbon emissions in California, you'd vote with the Republicans. The few, I'm not saying they're actually presenting a bill like this, but the people that have suggested let's eliminate carpool lanes because we actually would have less carbon emissions by eliminating them. The Toyota Prius, for example, has a bigger carbon footprint than a gas-guzzling military Hummer will in its lifetime because we haven't figured out how to dispose of batteries properly. So I'm just wondering, like, what are we doing that's smart, that actually does address climate change? Because it seems like Republicans never really talk about what we are doing, and then the Democrats over here say, unless you socialize our economy, you're a science denier. So I'm looking for something in the middle. What's that middle that we're working on?
Well, I kind of look at this, and you can't just say you're a Republican, so you think this way, or you're a Democrat, you think this way.
We like doing that. It's 2018.
I know.
No, I'm just kidding.
But you kind of got to look at the subject matter and make a decision on your own on what is presented in front of you. I think that the 25th district has been very, very successful. If you look at the 25th and the 23rd, McCarthy's district, and then you go out to the 8th district, which is Cook's district, you probably have a bigger footprint of solar panels, PV, than anywhere in the country. If you put those 3 districts together, you probably have more solar panels than 25 states. So I think that our state has done a lot. Now, the Mojave Desert is the #1 place for solar panels. It is the #1 spot that they have said this is the best place to put solar panels to get the best impact from them. But you can't go too far. I think the legislature in Sacramento is going too far when we had a 50% RPS, renewable portfolio standard. Then they wanted to move it to a 75. Now they want to go to 100. Remember, the sun's not always shining, the wind's not always blowing, and our battery technology is not there yet.
Thank you.
So we are going to still be burning things, and hopefully we're burning cleaner things like clean gas and things like that. But we are going to be doing that for a very long time. And in America, we like our cars. Me personally, I think my personal opinion is we kind of tried to jump from the gas motor to electric and forgot that next step, which is a hybrid technology, which is very, very good and very viable. You can get hybrid technology for 50 mpgs right now, and you don't worry about running out of your charge. You get those 50 mpgs, and you've still got gas stations, and we're still going to be burning gas for probably another 100 years. So I think that we've done a lot because we have the Mojave Desert, and California has been pretty active, but you can't go too far, and you can't go too far and put yourself at a disadvantage toward other countries or other states.
What about the success that Europe has had, and having lived in Germany as long as I did, and I know you were there for a while, that We're talking about an area where they've done phenomenal work at infrastructure changes, whether it's painting the ceiling, the top of the rooftops, or the number of solar panels, changes in road structures and communities to try and optimize this whole issue of fighting climate change. Do you think there's things like that we can borrow and more aggressively continue to expand here in California
I think
and beyond?
we are. We look at countries like France, and France has got about 75% of their renewable portfolio, I think, is on solar and nuclear.
Yeah, nuclear.
So they have done something that is very, very clean. California doesn't think nuclear is clean. I do. They don't think that big hydro is clean. I do. I think big hydro is very clean. So if we're going to look at the kind of whole portfolio, let's do that. And let's look at what's clean, what is a very good base for our power. And, people, when they turn on the lights, turn on that air conditioner, they want it to work. A lot of times they're not caring about other things. They just say, I want it to work. So we've got to have a baseline that works, a baseline that is sustainable, and then look to the future. Because the better we can do with renewables, the better we're going to be in the future generations.
Okay, so last question on the environmentalism thing. I love that you mentioned nuclear power and big hydro, because I lived in New York briefly. I did a bunch of acting and producing out there for a while for a couple of firms. And I was on the set of White Collar, that show. I was actually a mafioso's bodyguard back when I had, I was 30 pounds lighter. They could cast me for things like that. And I was on the set, and I'll never forget, I had lunch with this guy who was a nuclear scientist from the nuclear power plant that powers like 40 or 50% of Manhattan's energy grid. And he was transferring his life from nuclear physics to acting. So you can imagine the enthusiasm of his mother, I'm sure. But anyway, I was talking with him, and I said, I don't get why in California we don't have more. They fight nuclear energy as though you were literally proposing to brush children's teeth with depleted uranium, okay? And I said, what is the truth about nuclear? And he said, our plant north of Manhattan never has even come close to having a problem. It's more secure than probably the president's office. Okay, that is an exaggeration for my friends in the Secret Service. Do not take that personally, okay? And second off, he said the only environmental impact it has is it raises the temperature of the Hudson River, which cools it 1/2 of 1 degree. There's no carbon emissions. There's no chemical emissions. There are only thermal emissions that is cooled by this massive river that goes through it. I don't see why our energy problems aren't solved more by nuclear energy, because all these other forms I think are very overrated. Wind, what do you do on a hot day when it's not windy? When it's cloudy, those solar panels, I don't care how deep the Mojave Desert is covered in them. On a cloudy day, how am I going to play on my PlayStation? There's all of these flaws and drawbacks. So I'm just wondering, what keeps us from doing more big hydro and doing more nuclear? Because it seems like to me 20 and 30 years ago, we didn't have these problems. For heaven's sakes, we stole the Owen Rivers Valley's water and made a movie out of it. Why can't we make a thermal nuclear plant now?
Well, somebody keeps heading us in the direction of that clean coal. So it gets more difficult when
Obama
the
said
leadership,
clean coal, and we didn't believe it back then, okay?
And the leadership, whenever the leadership takes us in a strange direction, we sometimes follow. And that's the sad part.
Well, what's the hiccup? Like, why don't we do more big hydro and big?
I think a lot of people in Sacramento don't believe that nuclear is clean energy and don't believe that it's something that they want. We only have one nuclear plant in California. It's at Diablo Canyon, and it's run by PG&E. The Songs plant down towards San Diego shut down, 2-3 years ago?
Yeah.
And so we're down to one, and I think their renewal is in about 2024, and they've already said that that's probably going to go away at that time. So, in about another 5.5 years, we're looking at zero nuclear in California. So I do believe it's very, very clean. I do believe it's very, very safe. I have toured Diablo Canyon a couple times. Looked at and talked to the people that are there and talked to how they discard the used rods, and it is about as unbelievable as you can imagine. And the safety precautions that they put into it are unbelievable. But again, it is very tough in Sacramento to move nuclear's needle. And they've been very, very...
Is it ideological, though, or is it scientific? Because this science denier term gets thrown around so much, and I've never found science that says, in America, nuclear couldn't happen. Because America does nuclear pretty much just fine. I know other countries have problems with running their plants, and there's been threats of meltdown. We all know the Chernobyl story. We all know the Japan story. But I really don't see what it is that makes it so we don't trust this more. For heaven's sakes, we'll put ourselves in a Tesla without a driver. We will go driverless car, but we won't go proven nuclear technology of 50 years.
We prefer fracking.
You're not supposed to laugh at that.
As the great state of Oklahoma will point out.
Okay,
they wanted to copy us an earthquake, so hey, they got there.
Okay, so I've butchered this to death. I guess we all know where we stand on nuclear energy here. Okay, so here's an interesting question with your law enforcement background. This is from Piper Smith, who is heading up the local division of the Pink Pistols, the largest chapter of the Pink Pistols in Southern California. She said, are you willing to step up and fix the CCW system so that the marginalized individuals are able to gain legal access to the tools they need in order to defend their lives?
So
that had some pepper behind it.
Yeah, that did. The CCW situation in California is you have 58 counties, and you have basically your police chief or your sheriff, which would authorize those CCWs. Typically, it's a sheriff.
And you're talking about a concealed carry.
A concealed weapons permit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When I was in the assembly, I wrote AB 357. It just said all 58 counties do the same thing. You can tell us what you want to do. You can have a training session. You can have a fee that we've got to pay. You can do all of these different things. But at the end, you get your CCW. So that wasn't seen as the right thing to do from Sacramento. They killed my bill very quickly. But I think that you should have a system of a CCW, of a concealable weapons permit, where you can say, okay, we're looking at everything. We're looking at the background. We're looking at A, B, and C. And at the end of C, we're going to give a CCW to this person because we believe this person is responsible and they can handle it. And I can tell you, when I wrote my bill, I asked them to bring forward a police report from somebody who had used their weapon irresponsibly, and I gave them 2 weeks, and nobody brought forward a police report. And I let them go anywhere in the country. So CCW or permit holders know what a big responsibility it is. Mm-hmm. They also know that they have been trained in some form or fashion, and they probably are comfortable with a firearm. And just like when I was a cop, there are places that I did not want to bring a firearm, even though I could carry my weapon off duty. So it is a huge responsibility, and we would tell young police officers, if you're going to a bar, you're going to be drinking with the buddies, that ain't a good place for you to have your firearm. And I think it's, it is an education. It is a huge responsibility, and it is something that people should take to the utmost seriousness.
Now, how do you feel about this idea that the NRA has put out, as well as certain states, that they should be able to authorize those permits for California? Like if they have a person who is authorized in their state, they can cross over to our area and carry a weapon.
So it's reciprocation. I am on reciprocation. We have a bill that has reciprocation of another state, and we attached it to what's called the Fix NICS bill. It kind of did a lot of the fixing of the background checks. We kind of married those two together. I support that bill. It went to the Senate, and I believe the Senate is trying to tear those two bills apart, make them two votes. I don't like that. I like the Fix NICS. I like the reciprocation. And I think you don't get the votes if you split them up.
Do you worry about the fact that there'll be people in Florida or in certain states, I think Utah is one of them, where they grant these permits just by you mail in the $50, you get your permit.
No,
and off you go.
Red flag. My friend just got the Utah CCW.
Well, it cost $500?
No. He had to go to, I think it was an 8-hour class and then a 12-hour training. There was a significant amount of work to it. It was easier than other states, yes. Yeah. But there was... there was definitely some work involved. So
and it's residency for CCWs, I believe, in every state. And I'm sure somebody will call in if I'm wrong on that, but I believe it is residency. So I couldn't just run on over to Vegas and say, I'm going to grab my CCW and then come back to the Antelope Valley, and now I've got a CCW. So
okay, so my question about the whole CCW thing is, okay, I get in more liberal states like we're in, they generally frown upon guns in general. In the rural states where it's a lot more cultural, they don't smile upon it, I'd say, but they're a lot more comfortable with it. So I understand that, okay, maybe California doesn't like guns as much, so it's going to be harder. A lot of these natural differences between the states that are based upon their culture, I'm okay with because this is the United States of America. I'm a huge states' rights guy. But something I've never gotten is being a liberal state, being so, pro-LGBTQ plus rights and pro-minority rights and pro-education and all these things we claim to be, at what point do people like armed equality and the Pink Pistols get to say, hey, we don't want Pulse nightclub to happen to us. That could have stopped if one of our friends had a CCW. Hey, I feel threatened in my community, less threatened by world's greatest fight equalizer, a handgun. So at what point does our liberalism kick in so that we start actually giving the Pink Pistols, the African American community, arms training, regulated militia training, and these CCWs? Because I've heard stats as low as 8 and some as high as 300, but less than 1,000 CCW people in Los Angeles, and I find that insane.
And remember, CCW is not something that everybody is going to go and apply for and get. There was a study in Florida that when they kind of changed their CCW laws, about 2 million people applied for a CCW. At the end of what you had to do to get your CCW, 40,000 people got them. So 40,000 out of 2 million that applied is a tiny, tiny percentage.
That's a well-regulated militia right there.
That went through all of the training, went through everything that they absolutely had to do to get their CCW. And again, we couldn't find a crime report that came out of Florida from a responsible person that was a CCW owner.
In the Philando Castile case, I got to tell you, I felt for the Philando Castile family and that person because I was like, I know my CCW friends. They're responsible people. I never met a CCW person that performed in a way that would get him shot. So that was something that angered me in the Philando Castile case, the fact that I knew he was a CCW guy. But we won't rehash that in this hour. I will say though, what's stopping us from making? I mean, we're the worst state, but also the worst county to get CCWs. What's keeping us from having this good system you describe? What's stopping us?
Well, my bill was stopped in Sacramento, but
names. I want names. No.
But you do have 58 counties in California, and they all kind of run a little differently, from maybe the smallest county of Alpine to the large counties of L.A. and San Bernardino. They all run differently, and they all run through the sheriff's department. So it kind of comes down to if the sheriff's department believes that there should be more CCWs or that they're going to be a little bit more liberal with them. That's what happens. If they're going to be very tight and very conservative with them, that's what happens. So that's why I said all 58 should kind of have at least the same type framework.
Okay, I really like what you said there. And I got to tell you. Yeah?
Can I jump in on this one, Congressman Knight, while we're talking about guns? You have obviously a high rating from the NRA.
I do.
Pretty much in compliance, with them.
And he took $13,000 from the NRA, for heaven's sakes, on a billboard that cost $10,000 to complain about the $13,000. Okay, so he's supposed.
But here's the question, and I'm obviously a trained RSO and been involved for a long time. Every day, we lose some 96 people to gun violence. We somewhere in the neighborhood.
I thought you were going to say to car accidents.
I wish, because it's the same kind of number. 35,000 a year that we lose to guns on an annual basis. 35,000 a year. And the really sad part of that is 62% of that is depression. Now, you've met my wife on a number of occasions. Mm-hmm. She took her own life on March 16th of this year at the exact spot where I received my RSO NRA training. A victim of depression. She had been served with me with the 8th Division in Germany as a civilian on a military position. She had exposure, had knowledge. She wasn't a shooter. She had just obtained her master's in mathematics, but she was being treated for depression by a well-trained psychiatrist and receiving medication. All the success in life, it ended. We don't know why, but it just ended. And I have a question for you. Can you imagine any scenario, opportunity where you think you might be in opposition to the NRA in something, where you'd be willing to go beyond what they'll do? Because I cannot figure out how we're going to reduce this horrible number of loss of life.
So I think if you look at my voting record, the NRA has had a problem with me on certain votes, and they have been vocal about that. But when I got elected into the Assembly and the Senate and in Congress, I said that I was a strong advocate of the Second Amendment, a strong advocate of personal responsibility, and strong advocate of responsibility with firearms. So I think that that is where kind of my voting record has gone. I believe that if you use a firearm in a crime, I am fine with hammering you and giving you more of an enhancement on that. But I think you've hit on something, Mark, and that is our mental health in America, and that is a major part of this, if not the major part of this. The people who are taking their lives are depressed, or they haven't gotten help, or the help that they've gotten hasn't dove deep enough in. And I have several friends that have depression, and they go and they get help, and I hope and pray that it is helping. But that is the major problem in America, is if we can affect, especially the young kids, if we can affect them early and get them back onto a course, then we will affect this.
Do you think there's anything that we can do, and I struggle with this all the time as a trained safety officer, what could we do? What legislation could we possibly enact that would help us deal with this depression issue?
Well, I say it all the time. If you're looking to me as a congressman to fix this problem, you need money. You do. If it's going to come down to the local level and we either need more clinicians or people that can help in schools or things like that, it's probably going to be money. And, Prop 63 or 64 was the mental health bill many years ago, and that put money into mental health until it was raided by the legislators in Sacramento to balance the budget. So if we are going to do that, we've got to put money in there. We just put $1.1 billion into kind of school safety issues. And part of that is if you need clinicians in there, or if you need more security or a deputy on there, or if you want to make your school safer by making it a one-point entry or locking doors or something like that, then that's what you can do. But if you're looking at Congress has got to put money where the mouth is. And that's why $1.1 billion is kind of the start. My bill, the STEP Act, only has $50 million in it, and I picked a very small amount of money to show that we can do this. We can make sure that there is security on campuses. We can make sure that we have locking doors. We can make sure that we have training. You know, when I was growing up and the fire alarm went off, everybody got up and went outside. Right. Absolutely not what you want with an active shooter. So we've got to have better training, and I can remember in LAPD when Columbine happened in April of 1999, we were trained that year on active shooter. And I've talked to several police departments across the country, and some of them said we still haven't gotten active shooter training. So we've got to make sure that everyone knows an active shooter in a school, a church, or an area like that, and the law enforcement shows up, they address the shooter right now. It's not a sit around and wait for buddies to show up or something like that. It's address the threat. So, and that's a little bit of a change from 99 moving forward. I wish I had all the answers on this, Mark. I really do. But this difficult. This is an all-community effort. Government's got to be involved. Schools, parents, and teachers got to be involved, and we've got to be involved in what our kids are doing. Are they playing video games 4 hours a day? Are they playing video games too early in life? A first shooter video game at 7 years old is not the right thing to do. And I can tell you this right now, on June 6th, unless they have delayed this, there is a new video game coming out called Active Shooter.
Ooh, yeah, that got toasted by everybody. By
Everybody.
the Russian company, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Everybody.
That got pulled off the shelves. I remember talking about that 3 days ago.
Yep.
Okay, last question before we go to our last commercial break here. This one's got a little bit of spice behind it, too. But it's by
More spice than guns.
Yeah. All right. So this guy's Andrew Taban. I've had him on my show. He's a cool guy, very much a progressive guy, very liberal, but I like it. He keeps it academic and he keeps it cool. So here's his question. Congressman Knight says he represents all his constituents, Republican, Democrat, etc., but doesn't attend debates. If he really represents everyone, why doesn't he actually attend these debates to hear from all his constituents?
So, two things I'll say on that. I am the only one of the 5 people running who has not said anything bad about a Republican, a Democrat, or an independent. And he will back me up on this. Everyone else has said something bad about Republicans. So, I do represent everyone.
All right.
I think the debate that he is asking is a debate where 4 Democrats showed up and me, 1 Republican, before the primary. I said that I wouldn't do any debates before the primary, and I told everyone about that. I said, I'll do debates when we are getting through this campaign. I don't know who's going to make it through June 5th coming up. Maybe I won't. So I'm not debating until I get through the primary, and I said that very clearly.
All right, sounds fair to me. We're going to take a short commercial break and come back and finish up with Steve Knight and Mark Murphy. This is Problem Solver Politics. Don't touch that dial.
Ever feel like you just have too much stuff and not enough room? Tired of having that RV just sit in your driveway? At Ed's Mini Storage, they're happy to help you reduce all that clutter while keeping it safe and protected in their spacious and easy-to-access storage facility. Whether it's only a few boxes or a boat or RV, Ed's Mini Storage has the space to accommodate everything you need to store. Call 251-0823.
Ed's Mini Storage, 251-0823.
If you'd like to take your business up a notch, take a look at Elite Magazine.
Linda and Mo Hafizi, owners of our Valley's 2 leading magazines, the Magazine of Santa Clarita and Elite.
I'm so proud of Elite. It allows your advertisement to stand out. We distribute Elite to 50,000 homes and businesses. You'll find us in 1,900 local hotel rooms.
Discover how Elite Magazine can help your business. Call 294-4444.
Superior quality is second nature to us. Just ask our advertisers.
Healthcare can be difficult if you're underinsured or have Medi-Cal. Samuel Dixon Family Health Center can help. Services are available on a sliding fee schedule. The mission of the Samuel Dixon Family Health Center is to give the Santa Clarita Valley access to affordable, quality primary care. There are 3 locations to serve you: Canyon Country, Newhall, and Valverde. Go to sdfhc.org for more information and to find the location most convenient for you.
Every year, thousands of local children, teens, and adults receive treatment at the Child and Family Center for depression, anger, anxiety, abuse, thoughts of suicide, and drug and alcohol addictions. Our professional staff provides outpatient services at office locations, in the home, the community, and on many elementary, junior, and high school campuses throughout our valley. If you need help, contact Child and Family Center at 259-9439 or childfamilycenter.org. Improving lives, one family at a time.
Hey guys, this is Cardon Ellis, host of the new show Problem Solver Politics, an independent political talk show that keeps you up to date and in the know on the latest political happenings both nationally and here in the Santa Clarita Valley. Now, this isn't your usual partisan political talk show. At Problem Solver Politics, we don't rant, we don't spew talking points. We have experts from all avenues talk about specific problems and how to solve them. And if your party is in the wrong, we will tell it to your face on air every Sunday at 7 p.m. All right, welcome back to Problem Solver Politics. You're in the studio at KHTS with Cardon Ellis, your host, and my co-host, Mark Murphy.
Adding a little sanity from the Democratic side.
Oh, I don't know if I call it sanity, but it's something. And we got Congressman Steve Knight with us.
Adding sanity from the Republican side.
But also a true man of character, and I'm very appreciative that you have the courage
that.
to be here tonight.
All right, so we got all the tough questions over. There was one question that came in on Facebook Live that I must address from Mike Arriaga. How does Mr. Knight feel about man buns? Man buns. What's your thoughts on the latest cultural phenomenon of man buns?
I don't believe I'll ever have a man bun.
May I throw an easier question to address? Okay. We obviously have a pretty porous border, if we call the two oceans, that wilderness called Canada, and then that southern border. We're obviously making an effort to build a wall. Is that the most effective way to address this, or what do we do?
Yeah, but Mark, it's not just build a wall. It is making sure that we have a border security to our south. We have the 3 drug cartels in Mexico that are sending up cocaine like it's jelly beans. They are dealing in the heroin trade. The crime that is coming back and forth because of the porous border is criminal, to say the least. So if you're not going to address the border in some sort of security way, then you are saying that that is okay, that the crime and the drugs that go back and forth across our southern border are okay. And I just cannot go there. But I think I've been very vocal. I've taken a lot of hits from the left and from the right about immigration, but I've been very, very vocal about immigration. I'm one of the 21 Republicans who've signed a petition discharge on the House floor to say that we have to have an immigration vote. Now, together, or putting those things together of border security and maybe DACA, I think that we can make a skinny bill there that will pass the House and get some momentum in the Senate. But the problem is we keep making these bloated bills where we put 10 or 20 things in there, and it's very easy for somebody to say, well, I don't like that thing, so I'm out. Or I don't like that issue, so no for me. Make it very skinny. Make it just sit on those 2 issues, border security and what we're going to do with the DACA folks. I can't call them DACA kids because a lot of them are in their 20s and early 30s. So what are we going to do with DACA, folks? And border security, run that bill. I can almost guarantee you're going to get support in the House. Our leadership has been very vocal about it. Steny Hoyer, the whip on the Democrat side, has been very vocal on border security and DACA. I think we do this. So I'm looking forward to a June where we go in and we have an immigration talk. That doesn't mean I'm going to vote for everything. Mm-hmm. It just means if we are going to talk about it and get a bill, let's see what it is.
Get us started.
Get us started.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, man, we just don't have enough time. I could talk for hours with this guy. He remembers all of the numbers of every bill, too. I would be completely lost after my first 6 months in Washington. But Congressman Steve Knight, it's so unfortunate, but unfortunately we do have to go. But we are so grateful you're able to come into the studio and talk with us. Any last things you want to say to our listeners? They're all pretty politically active.
No, I appreciate it. It is a great honor. It's a great honor to come in here and talk to two folks that know what they're talking about. But it is a great honor to be the representative of this district. I have 3 distinct valleys. They're all beautiful. They're all have their own kind of issues, and love it.
Awesome. You guys are watching Problem Solver Politics. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back.
Elections. Jimmy Fallon's surprise. I'm Mike Moss. Rudy Giuliani says President Trump shouldn't answer questions before Robert Mueller's probe.
This is the reason you don't let the president testify. If, you know, our recollection keeps changing, or we're not even asked a question, and somebody makes an assumption.
Giuliani tells ABC's This Week he doubts the president would ever pardon himself, but he says if he did, it would trigger an impeachment. Heavy hearts at graduation today at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High in Parkland, Florida.
It was supposed to be a happy celebration to mark the end of their high school years. Instead, it was a bittersweet graduation for the class of 2018.
Kind of hard to be really excited about it, because not everyone's here.
That's because 4 classmates didn't get a chance to receive their diplomas. Meadow Pollock, Nicholas Dwaret, Carmen Shentrup, Joaquin Oliver. They were among the 17 killed when a gunman opened fire at their school on Valentine's Day.
Correspondent Kim Hutcherson says the students did get a surprise visit from Jimmy Fallon, who told them not to let anything stop them. The largest ever study on treatment for breast cancer has reached a surprising conclusion. Most women may be able to avoid chemo.
The study involved early-stage breast cancer that has not spread to lymph nodes, is fueled by hormones, and is not the type targeted by the drug Herceptin. Gene-guided testing showed that most women do not need treatment beyond surgery and hormone blockers, and chemo did not improve survival.
Correspondent Marlis Majerus. Behind a record 9 three-pointers, Steph Curry led the Golden State Warriors to a 122-103 victory over Cleveland, taking a 2-0 lead in that best-of-7 NBA Finals. At least 7 are dead, another 20 hurt after a volcano erupted less than 30 miles outside of Guatemala City. I'm Mike Moss.
Shop Lowe's and save big on updates you can make throughout your home. Refresh your walls with new color with stain-resistant paint that makes cleanup a snap, starting at $26.98. Craving new appliances? Get up to 40% off appliance special values on some of the best brands in the business. All projects have a starting point. Start with Lowe's. Appliance offer valid through 6/6. Exclusions apply. See store for details. U.S. only.
Impressing with Amazon Music.
Are you just going to stand here all night, or are you going to go talk to him?
I will. I'm just choosing a playlist first.
Since when do you listen to country?
Yes, Jen! I love this song.
Very smooth.
Find the right playlist for just the right person. Amazon Music, the simplest way to listen to the music you love. New customers start your 30-day free trial at amazonmusic.com. Renews automatically, cancel anytime.
KHTS, AM 1220 and 98.1 FM Santa Clarita. It's 8 o'clock. Time for national news on KHTS.
The Santa Clarita Valley Food Pantry is celebrating its 30th anniversary of providing supplemental food to our neighbors in need. Help us help those less fortunate right here in the SCV with a monetary or food donation. For information on conducting a food drive or becoming a volunteer, visit scvfoodpantry.org or call the SCV Food Pantry at 255-9078. Because no child in the Santa Clarita Valley should go to bed hungry.
Money! 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 Money. You gotta have it. When you need it, what do? If you don't have a rich uncle, call Lending Tree. With us, hundreds of banks compete for your business, so you'll get loans with competitive interest rates, and in some cases, with no closing costs. So here's the deal. If you need money, call us. Do you want to refinance your current loan? Are you 62 or older and interested in a reverse mortgage? Then call Lending Tree now. 800-470-1378. 800-470-1378. We've closed over $250 billion in loans. We know what we're doing and can help you. Call right now for a free quote. 800-470-1378. 800-470-1378. 800-470-1378. That's 800-470-1378. NMLS number 1136.
Do you like to rock across Africa?
Then the wait is over.
Africa Rocks! Africa's Greatest Hits is now available at the San Diego Zoo. And who could forget 99 red baboons?
Or the African crested porcupine smash hit, I Got Quills to Pay the Bills. Hey, don't get too close.
And the hits keep on coming.
Africa Rocks has all your favorites from 6 different African habitats.
Hungry like a leopard.
Ibex is back.
Harder, better, fossa stronger.
And a new track from Kendrick Lamar.
Now, Larry.
Yes, Chuck?
A collection of this magnitude, I'd fly to Africa.
Well, don't pack your bags, friend. Africa Rocks is only available right here at the San Diego Zoo.
Wow, that really does rock.
No, it Africa Rocks.
Welcome to Africa Rocks. Experience 6 different African habitats, including our first ever aquatic enclosure with African penguins. Only at the San Diego Zoo.
There are times when nothing else will do because you know exactly what you want. You want the Alamo, the taste of true Mexican cooking at its best. At Alamo, you're treated to a taste that is truly Mexican with an atmosphere to match. Enjoy a Cadillac margarita, try a mucho burrito, or sizzling fajitas. Voted the best Mexican food in the SCV and a favorite of former supervisor Mike Antonovich. Alamo Rotisserie in Granary Square, serving Santa Clarita for over 30 years.
Start your finish at College of the Canyons with over 700 low-cost summer classes. They have quick 5- and 8-week on-campus sessions. Don't have time to come to class? Online class options make it convenient for you to take classes on your own computer. Incoming high school juniors and seniors, you can take classes too. Take advantage of convenient summer sessions beginning June 4th, June 11th, June 18th, and July 9th. Visit canyons.edu/class schedule now.
Hey, Kyle, what are you doing Saturday, June 30th?
Not sure.
Nowhere bound, huh?
What?
Come on, Bubba Hyde. Get it together. You're a beautiful mess.
Oh, I see what you're doing. Diamond Rio songs. You're unbelievable.
Why, thank you, Kyle. I just want to let our listeners know that we'll be hosting the Big Diamond Rio show with special guest Savannah Burrows at the Pack at COC.
Imagine that.
Look at you getting it now.
One more day.
No, dude, it's June 30th.
Be my wingman.
Oh, now you're quoting Savannah Burrows songs.
Yep.
Sweet.
Join Tori and me when we host Diamond Rio with special guest SCV's own Savannah Burrows. Saturday, June 30th, 7 p.m. at COC's Pack.
Tickets are on sale now. Go to canyonspack.com
or hometownstation.com. This is a Problem Solver Politics production and does not necessarily represent the views of KHTS Radio or its ownership.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to Problem Solver Politics. I'm your host, Cardon Ellis, and we're in the studio with Mark Murphy.
Hey, you got to bring a little bit of boomer in here. We messed up the world, so we might as well try and fix it. And more importantly, I'm a former Republican, now a Democrat, and proud of it. My party left me, so I got to bring a little sanity to this conversation.
Okay, so we're going to do part 2 of what we didn't really get to finish last week, of going over some of these amazing bills and these great measures and candidates that are on the ballot this year. I have to tell you, I love my home state. I am true blue Californian. Not true blue, but there's all kinds of weird insinuations there that we won't jump into.
He's a true red Californian, but he loves this state.
You know, I'm a problem solver. We're part of the Problem Solver Party, and if you're looking at us on Facebook Live, I am shaking the Problem Solver sign. Anyway, so I'm part of the Problem Solver Party, the PSP, but I do have to say, our state is a thing of chaotic beauty, okay? We have the most conservative district, literally Kern County, most conservative county, but we also have the most liberal, non-business friendly, nearly USSR county, okay? And these candidates that I am seeing on this bill...
You're blaming it on the Russians again?
Yeah. Could only come out of a state like California, and we are going to go over some of them. I was talking with DJ Hamburger again today. He was on our show 2 or 3 shows ago. And him and his friends are some of the most hilariously plugged in Republican in the know people out there. And I was getting the backstory on 7 or 8 of these candidates, from everything from a Vice and an LA Times reporter to DJ to several others. And it is hilarious what goes on these conventions and how this voter guide actually comes to fruition. I think the only one that fortunately didn't work out was there was this guy, I think Patrick Little, who's like an actual neo-Nazi. You'd think in California, with as liberal we are, that we wouldn't be getting these on the ballot. But I think he was actually a professed like white supremacist, and was somehow trending like 2nd or 3rd place early on because nobody was paying attention. And I think he had like some economic statement that he'd made, you know, about like individualism or whatever, until everybody started figuring out that, holy smoke, he belongs in a log cabin up in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. You know what
Don't blame it on Idaho. I helped put at least one neo-Nazi in jail when I was overseas in the military.
So before
they still exist.
Before I start besmirching this person's name, you know what I'm saying? I should make sure that I look up and know the exact like middle initial and name. But it was hilarious because now he's trending at like 0.001%, and you know it's gone back to where it belongs. But it blows my mind that and like Dianne Feinstein and Nancy Pelosi are coming out of the same state. You know, you look at like, you know, your average Nevada or Texas person, and you know, they're not too far apart. But California, man, we are shooting for the moon in both directions. And it is the most hilariously, strangely beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life. So I believe you wanted to go over some of these funny measures and some of these pretty hilarious voter guides that we've got in the mail. And then I would love to finish talking about all of these candidates and the candidate statements because this is hilarious.
Well, I just found it very, very difficult when you've got a complex book like we have and all this detail that we wind up with one word or one sentence candidate statements. If you're going to run for governor or you're going to run for senator, you might want to tell us one, who you are, where you've been, what you do, what your views are, something. But it looks like this seems to be like it's like a group therapy session for the state. You bog us down in trivia. You aren't helping the problem. That's what scares me. We have a lot of people that are shouting for attention. Look, that's what therapy is for, not the voter guide.
Okay, so we got to go over this because me and my wife were actually filling out our ballots, our vote by mail ballots.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, you got to do that.
And okay,
let's point that out, folks. You got to take at least an hour. It may take you longer, it may take you less, but go through your voting guide, look at all the pile of stuff you received in the mail or call an expert friend like myself and find out how you should vote. But, I mean, you've got a lot of local, you've got the national, whether it's the senator, the congressman, you have measures that affect the state, in the environment, how you're spending transportation money, who's going to take care of your school system. And most importantly, you have the judges. And this year, there's a lot of information offering details on how these judges or these particular candidates have been involved in the law before, what they do, whether they're competent, and you're getting a lot of information. You got to look at it and then fill in your document so that you can vote as an intelligent voter.
Okay, so I'm just going to go through this. No, I completely agree with you. I am a purist when it comes to voting. I think if you look at human history, the cycle of dictatorship to dictatorship and a brutal power monger to brutal powder monger is completely thwarted by the bicameral legislature, executive branch, and Supreme Court's judicial branch, obviously. That check and balance system transfers power, just as Barack Obama said when he was at the inauguration of Donald Trump, saying, our Constitution enshrines the peaceful transfer of power. I am amazed by what our founding fathers put together. And I don't care how funny George Carlin was or how cynical some of these people get. I think...
Don't shop for cookies after your late-nighted bonds.
I think that you're not just crazy. I don't see how you could not vote. Right. The gift, the chance that we have to opine is a chance that middle class, lower class, and even wealthy citizens of nations don't even come close to even getting. You're right. I don't think we opine enough. I think there are arguments to be made about Citizens United. I think there's arguments to be made about campaign finance reform. I think there's arguments to be made about a lot of these issues and how government's gotten so big that the individual citizen doesn't have as much pull as they used to.
Yeah, and I've had friends tell me that they're just not going to vote because they've gotten too cynical, or they say, they're either too extreme on the right or too extreme on the left. Come on. Grow up.
You got to get in there.
Put your big boy pants on and get in there and do your research and then make a decision of voting for somebody. Right, left, middle, I don't care, but make a difference with your vote.
Okay, so speaking of big boy pants, we're going to talk about some amazing big boy pants that just got put on. Let's start out. If you are watching us on Facebook Live, please pull out this document right now, okay? And we got to go through this really fast. We spoke about Kevin De Leon last week and how he dragged everybody through the mud with SB 54.
Okay, he's a legitimate Democratic candidate, but he also filled out his voter guide.
Yeah, okay, so at least he filled it out. But if you look at this first page, one of the biggest problems with the California Republican Party, in my opinion, is that they either don't show up, or else if you're looking...
They're afraid of their picture.
Yeah, you look at this. I mean, this is just pathetic. Where you got Kevin De Leon in a really good picture. I mean, he looks like the Latino grandpa every dude wishes he had. Perfect smile. He looks like your typical politician, right? With a nicely well-written candidate statement and all of his contact information right there. If he weren't such a socialist, I would think, oh, that's great, you know. But right below him, it just says Paul A. Taylor, one sentence. 40 years of business experience as an entrepreneur, jobs creator, developer of small business, and innovator of technologies with no photograph submitted. Let me tell you, if you can't do a selfie and email it to the voter guide, I do not believe that you're, creating jobs in technology.
Well, there may be a problem. Look at the next page, and I think I understand why the other guy may not have submitted his picture. You only have to look at the first picture on the next page to say maybe you shouldn't send a picture. But the other thing, too, is one word is not enough to tell us what you're really about.
Jerry Joseph Laws, this is one of the few times where I think one word was actually cool. I got to disagree with you on this. Constitutionalist is a mic drop. We said that last week, so I won't rehash this. However, Jerry Joseph Laws, look at this. You got to smile, dog.
Yeah, come on.
You have got to
Life's
smile.
Life's not that bad. And you're not going to concentration camp. I look at the guy across on the other side, no party preference.
Yeah.
Hey, come on.
Now, we're going to dive into this guy, okay? We talked briefly about this last week. I'm sorry, Tim Gildersleeve. We're going to skip over you. You seem like a nice guy.
No party preference.
But this was wild. Don J. Grundman got on, and he said, a campaign for sanity. There is no such thing as transgender. It does not exist. What does exist are broken people who pretend to be the opposite sex and even mutilate themselves in the attempt. In our Constitution, and it goes on, and it gets so bad that he says, go to theyareattackingthechildren.org to join the movement. And I just thought, oh my gosh, I really think there needs to be a better conversation. And I don't think what the money and the insurance games and the motivations of a lot of these people in this whole insanity of the transgender movement are pure right now. And I think there needs to be a much better conversation to be had. And there's a lot of people doing a lot of wrong with this right now. But if you say they're attacking the children, I don't know. I just think, man.
Background checks may be in order.
And the worst part is he is frowning. He is literally frowning. I think last week I said he looked like the angry guy saying, get off my lawn. But I don't even think that does it justice. He is legit. There's shadows underneath his lower lip. He is so angry.
It just reminds me of the Nuremberg trials.
It was bad. It was bad.
And then we look at the next line, the Republican. But I like a brave Republican who's willing to at least put 5 words together. Atrocity of abortion on demand must end. Okay, I get it. Maybe that was 6. But the bottom line is, hey, could you tell us a little more?
Well, here's what's cool.
There's more to this state than that.
No, but look, this is what's great because I looked through my sample ballot here, and the best part is John Jack Crew, all right? He's going for United States Senate. And what's so great is when you go down, it says, for example, Tim Gildersleeve, paratransit operator. Patrick Little, civil rights advocate. Yeah, I think he was the neo-Nazi guy. I better go back and check that before I say no.
Be careful.
Hey, can you look that up for me? Make sure I'm not besmirching some good Republican. Apparently, the guy that's
Did you just say good Republican in one sentence? Okay, never mind.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, John Jack Crew. I look. Maybe he can take care of us.
No, but look what it says.
I know he's a bus driver. Maybe he can take us off a cliff.
It says bus driver. Bus driver. I am gonna vote for this man. I am going to vote for this man because, look, first off, we only have a bunch of socialists on here on the Democrat side.
If you're not a hardcore Tea Party rep, you're going to be a socialist, believe me.
Although, I don't know, Erin Cruz, she was pretty cool. She was on the next page, and she's just beautiful. So I know that's going to get all the feminists angry, and they'll start blogging about how horrible I am and stuff like that. But I do appreciate a woman who actually takes a professional headshot and smiles. I do think she is the first smile besides Kevin De Leon in the entire voter guide. So if after 200 plus years of our constitutional republic allowing votes, candidates haven't figured out that smiling might help you out, you need to contact Erin Cruz for a little bit of PR because her website's great too. Did you see her website?
No, I was too busy going to Douglas Howard Pierce's because I loved his hair.
Okay.
Anyway, we're being kind of unfair, but I guess what I'm really saying is you got to fill in your document, folks. Here's the tough part. You got to read through and look and figure out which of these people, and there are some that have incredible experience and background. Maybe they haven't done enough to be the governor or the senator of this great state, but they're on the right track and they're running, so they deserve some of our support.
So here, let's just hammer through these really fast and say the things that you like, the things you disliked, and where you give it a thumbs up or thumbs down. Douglas Howard Pierce.
Hair.
Liked his hair.
Yeah, like
we
the hair.
both agree. Pound it.
Okay,
Loved his
pound
hair.
it.
Boom. We both agree on something. Douglas, you got great hair. So did Representative Allen, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
He was pretty good. I thought he actually filled the thing out, which I appreciated.
Yeah.
You know, and he seems like he's representing himself all right. John Thomas Parker, this guy from the Peace and Freedom Party. Wow. He starts out literally with a quote that says, "End capitalism, don't enable it." Totally reminds me when I was in Greenwich Village in New York City, one of the best pieces of street art I ever saw was this big angry dude with a rise it up fist saying capitalism kills, so kill capitalism, and it was thumping this other capitalist. Like, it was the most angry communist thing I ever seen in my life. But he's not a communist. He's from the Peace and Freedom Party. And he said, "End capitalism, don't deport it. Trump's deportations, police terror, giveaways to corporations, white supremacy, misogyny, poverty are all part of capitalism and inspired by the previous administration's record deportations and wars. Your vote for Socialist Parker counts. It's not supporting enablers, but instead aspiring a movement for revolutionary change." A, I like that at least he just says he's a revolutionary. And B, I don't know, man. Federally regulated capitalism has done more to curb police states, giveaways to corporations, white supremacy, misogyny, and drag more people out of poverty than any other type of economic program I've ever seen. So, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that guy, but I think thumbs down.
Yep. Okay. Now, the next guy, he just looks professional.
Yeah. Doesn't he look like he was on, like, the nuclear team at the Oppenheimer project?
Unfortunately. And he is right down your line. He's a libertarian. That counts.
Hey, libertarians are very intelligent people.
We're probably going to get in a lot of trouble for this, but, I mean,
yeah.
As you look at this, though,
they're getting pub. There's no bad publicity in PR.
I am very impressed, though, that he puts in a lot of details. I mean, we know how many are unemployed. He's looking at the debt. He's looking at things to say, something's wrong, we got to fix it. Those stats that he's quoting, a lot of these stats are important. If 25% of our people wake up every day, food insufficient, they don't have a meal set for the next day, it's not in their fridge or their cupboard, we have a problem. In America, we have a problem.
By the way, Derek Michael Reed, I give this man credit because he, to the best of my knowledge in reading through this, actually mentioned two keywords and was the only candidate to mention two of our favorite keywords. A, he's the only one that used the term problem solver.
Yeah, he's there.
If you look at on here, he says a moderate and a problem solver seeking to unite multi-partisan factions for solving major problems. And then he was also the only one to mention hunger.
And that's what makes him kind of a blend. It's almost a true libertarian because what I'm seeing is not a Republican in a libertarian guise. There's something there. Here's a guy who actually is looking at these issues and pointing them out.
Yeah, exactly. So
deserves a look.
Yeah, and we're going to talk to. I'm going to donate him a pair of glasses.
Well, and then compare him to the guy on the same page. I think it's a guy, Ling Shi. The challenge I have is
true. What is that?
No picture, but that's not so much that. It's just you've basically attacked the Supreme Court. You don't like our economy. Sometimes I have to say, so you want to run for what? Okay.
Yeah, exactly. What were your thoughts on Jason M. Hanania?
It seems to be kind of a no guy, but he's got a lot of background. That's the one thing. He's done a lot of stuff.
I thought it was interesting. He said, "I have no political party and I do not accept campaign donations." I know that our district, Brian Caforio and Katie Hill and Jess Phoenix were all fighting over that. I can't remember what they called it. It was one of those catchy political things where they agreed not to take outside funds, but Katie Hill says, "I would take outside funds." And so they ended up not signing this pact because she said she wouldn't. There's part of me that thinks I like that you're that guy. Like, I like that you're that guy that's like, I ain't taking the corporate money, stick it to the man. But also at the end of the day, that guy never wins.
Well, and we've had so many of our billionaire flavors being sent into this state. These are billionaires that have put together a pot of money in a PAC. They're allowed to, based on Citizen United, and they can send in money and put together judges. They can sit together individuals. It's kind of scary. So when they absolutely agree that they're not going to take a lot of that money, it's a good thing. And I mentioned that, we've seen the battle between the three Democrats, but also, Steve Knight. He's not a guy that likes to take big money. He's careful about it, and I'm glad they don't waste a lot of our money for things like that.
Yeah, so I don't want to give too much. I don't want to give too much attention to Allison Hartson, because unfortunately
she's a
very
Democrat,
pretty, and she smiled, and she's unfortunately well worded,
and she's really hitting it on the minimum wage. For those of you who are not yet there, she's actually trying to accomplish it. She cares about health care. She's talking about funding for college, and she's doing things which make some sense.
No, dude, no way. Okay, I'm going to keep it academic here, because I appreciate that she's so well spoken and that she is definitely very articulate in how she feels.
When you have a president who, well, we won't talk about his ability to put 3 sentences together, but
he uses like 10. He uses 10 words when he should use 20. Let's just say, well, maybe like 5 words when he should use like 40. But
yeah, okay. Anyway,
or 120 words when he should use a paragraph.
Sometimes I wish he didn't say as much as he did. But Allison Hartson, thanks for putting together a good article.
I disagree with you on minimum wage, Allison. We'll talk about that a different day. You're welcome to come on the show. Dianne Feinstein. Okay, 30 seconds on Dianne, then we got to go.
Well, this is like putting together one of our Oscar nominees. I mean, this woman has stood her ground. She leads in the Senate. She's put together a lot of laws, brought a lot of support into the state. She's tried a lot of things, and she's a strong security person. She actually stands up to the guys and lets them know what needs to be done. She's also been a strong supporter of the Affordable Care Act, which has been critical for many people to receive medical care. An extra $20 million are getting. A lot of us can have our kids on their policies. She's done things to take care of us. I appreciate that.
Okay, my 10 seconds will be Dianne Feinstein. I appreciate the good things you've done. I disagree wholeheartedly with the bad things you've done. I wish you actually wrote this, but obviously an intern did. And the first 10 years, a representative works for its constituency. The second 10 years, they work for Washington. That's all I got to say. Problem solver politics, don't touch that dial.
Time & Rio brings their musical magic to the Santa Clarita Performing Arts Center on Saturday, June 30th. KHTS is proud to present Diamond Rio, 6-time Country Vocal Group of the Year, 23 top 10 hits. Experience Grammy Award winners Diamond Rio like you've never seen them before, right here in our hometown at the Santa Clarita Performing Arts Center. Country legends Diamond Rio, and featuring our one and only local singing sensation, Savannah Burrows. Savannah Burrows and Diamond Rio, together at the Santa Clarita Performing Arts Center, Saturday, June 30th. One more day. Tickets are going fast. Visit canyonspac.com to purchase yours. canyonspac.com for Diamond Rio.
If you are at least 55 years of age and have a torn or irreparable rotator cuff, you may be eligible for a no-cost clinical trial at Southern California's Orthopedic Institute's Valencia Clinic. Call 818-901-6600 extension 1525 or visit rotatorcuffstudy.com to learn about a study of an investigational shoulder implant. Call 818-901-6600 extension 1525 or visit rotatorcuffstudy.com. Sponsored by Microair Surgical Instruments.
The Santa Clarita Artists Association has a new gallery in downtown Newhall on 6th Street between Main and Railroad, right across from the Canyon Theater Guild. The gallery features our members' paintings, sculptures, and one-of-a-kind handcrafted gift items. Whether you're an art lover, buyer, or an artist wishing to join, visit our website at santaclaritaartist.org, come to our free monthly meetings at Barnes & Noble, or stop by the gallery. For upcoming events and exhibits, check us out at santaclaritaartist.org. We make visual art visible.
All right, welcome back to Problem Solver Politics. We actually have indeed confirmed that it was Patrick Little, the confirmed white supremacist who actually tried to go to the Republican convention. And I heard this from 2 or 3 insiders that he actually was confronted and was doing the whole I refuse to go thing, and I signed up as a Republican, therefore I am. It's kind of like that whole I think, therefore I am thing, right? And all the Republicans are saying, dude, no, you got to go. Did you not realize the Republican Party was founded to defeat the two great evils in America? Polygamy in the West, and they wanted to abolish slavery in the South. It was an abolitionist movement, the Republican Party. And then here you are saying you're Republican, so this doesn't work. So they're kicking him out. And what's hilarious is he was holding on to an Israeli flag and trying, as he's getting kicked out, to kick the flag to show that, like, you know, I guess that, you know, crap rolls downhill or whatever that phrase is, you know. But, I mean, it wasn't working out for him, and he got thrown out in the street by the Republicans. But the only reason why I don't want to say this intrigues me, because things that I want to keep studying intrigue me. And I don't think fascination is the right word, but something that makes me wonder, where I really would like to pry into their brains and ask them what they really actually think, is I just don't get one thing. Like there was a KKK.
You know, the Democrats have been wanting to do this for some time.
Well, the Democrats were the KKK for 200 years.
To understand the Republican mind, you know, what did we say? We might have to drop our IQ by 10, 20 points.
Please.
But it's a rough battle out there. And at the same time, who knows?
Well,
but anyway.
The only thing I don't get is, okay, so we know what happened, unfortunately, in North Carolina. And the white supremacist group gets their permit, and they're grabbing their tiki torches, and they're walking around.
And they have a right to do that.
Yes,
they have a right
we
to
have
protest.
to give, I guess I say credit for having at least announced, and gotten the permit.
Yeah.
And also, I had a huge problem with all of the, whenever we engage in this conversation, everybody tries to virtue signal. Everybody automatically tries to say words like abhorrent and try and use adjectives so huge they can distance themselves as much as they can, that now, unfortunately, the Daily Stormer, which was their website, which used to be accessible via Google and just plain old online, couldn't get a server because all the companies were trying to virtue signal and kick them off their servers. That now they went to the dark web, where you have to look them up on Tor or on dark web servers. So all this virtue signaling actually did our society a huge disservice, because now, by not allowing them to openly engage in their racism,
now they're
buried, which drives it underground. And just like Prohibition gave us organized crime, now forcing it underground, I think, only makes it worse and gives it some kind of strange relevance. But the only thing I would ever want to ask one of these white supremacists or Patrick Little is, they kept on saying with their little tiki torches, which I guess they were doing for drama, right, was Jews will not replace us. And I get, for example, why this peace and freedom guy who's a socialist, when he sees Trump in the White House and he thinks, oh, immorality by the capitalist who is with porn stars, or is saying, you know, misogyny and bigotry and poverty, when there's a disparity in wealth, it's a product of capitalism. Like, I can almost actually see how people make those mental connections, but I don't see what is the triggering for this idea that there's a massive onslaught of a non-proselyting, I think it's an ethnic group. I think Israelis are both a religious and an ethnic group simultaneously. I don't see where that comes from. I get prominence, like the Anti-Defamation League keeps on trying to get rid of this stereotype of Jews holding prominent positions in Hollywood. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, because when that big letter was written to the FCC demanding from all the different studios and the president of SAG and everything, they pulled out that one-page article in the LA Times. I think it was like 8 of the 9 signatures on there from all the studio heads and the president of SAG and everything. They were all Jewish. And I look at that and I think, that's not a conspiracy. That's great. And it makes me think, what about the Jewish community makes it so they can breed this success multi-generationally? Like, they stick together, they help their own. Like, don't get pissed. Learn. Like take the guy out to lunch and say, what is it? You say you got this job with your cousin. Like, I view that as, don't get angry, learn from it. But there's also, we're a very small industry. That's just one industry in California. People view us as being a big tech city and a big entertainment city, but those are actually minority industries. Our number one industry is agriculture. So I just don't see from these white supremacist guys why they're bent on this. We're getting replaced. Jews will not replace us. I don't get that.
I think they're outsiders, and this is the sad part. Communities within the United States have always, most of them have come in. I don't care if they were Irish, German, Italians, whether or not they were Jewish, East European, Russian, whatever. They tried to work together to help obtain economic success, help become educated, help start their businesses, whole communities. And it was a beautiful and is a beautiful experiment. And it continues now when we have the now Hispanic communities that are part of this. I don't care where they're from, African communities that are coming in. We should be championing any of these communities that work together to try and help raise their presence within the United States. Belittling or beating up on any of them is something we shouldn't be doing. And so you're never going to understand the white supremacists. I had the unfortunate experience of having one work for me with the military.
Really? Like an actual legitimate one?
He was part of a ring.
Not just some like angry dude that was on like a 2-year phase?
They were a terrorist organization, and they were getting weapons and equipment. We were on the supply side. We were able to break it, and we were able to work with them to find a way to incarcerate them. And the challenge was we broke the ring. There was a lot of legal support from unknown sources to back and defend him. It hasn't gone away. It's something we still have to fight, and I'm very proud that I had the opportunity to do so.
Well, bring it out in the open. I wish they would get that back on the internet so you could just monitor them and know what the heck they're doing.
Hey, one thing I wanted to mention too, though, is because we don't have a lot of time. There's a lot of guides that are coming to us.
I got more guides this week.
Okay, and I got to tell you, so part of the confusion is, particularly on the judges' side, judges make a big difference. Can you imagine? And I've been in front of judges that I absolutely thought were horrible, and then I was in front of judges that I thought were the smartest, wisest individuals. They made Solomon look poor or weak. And they really had their act together. Men and women that knew how to work the system, knew how to provide justice. Well, the beautiful part of it is we get a lot of guys, and if you look at it, and I just started marking down who supported who.
Okay.
Now, one of my most frightening things is every so often I would have guides from the far left to the far right.
Yeah, hold those things up so everybody can see.
I mean, we're talking about from the equal voter guide side, Equal America.
Look at this.
That might give you some colors. Then from the Democratic side, then you get the Union Guide. Then you get the California Public Safety Guide.
Oh, the Blame Your Problems on the Capitalist Guide.
And then
I see that one in there.
The We Want to Be Democrats Party. Then we want the we are Prop 13 guys. We don't like any taxes guys. You took that whole thing, put it together. I lined them up, and then I found out they were in favor of the same judges. You know, that ought to scare you. But at the same time, it told me there are some really good judges, and they're respected by everybody.
I think it was the Mayor Koch in New York who had the great quote where he got up and he said he would always tell people that were either disagreeing with him or going to go to the polls, if you agree with me on 7 out of 10 things, go to vote for me, and let's change this city for the better. If you agree with me on 10 out of 10 things, check yourself into a mental hospital. You know what I'm saying? So I think there's some value to that. I think it was Thomas Jefferson that said, out of the clamor of many parties, the truth will be established, right?
Yeah, and the other thing about these judges is some of them have created websites, but the most important thing about it's interesting to me is that there is a lot of detail that says what this person did. Their job as a deputy DA, or as their previous chance been on the bench, or they've been involved in these various activities, or what law school they came out of. You can use that information. The LA Times, the Signal, others, they put together these voter guides. Look at them. Go through it, and then based on whether it's you like liberal, Democrat, or maybe you just like the big numbers. I like it when I've got more numbers on a candidate. Don't know why. I'll typically vote for that candidate if they look like they have a reasonably decent name.
So you put little check marks on
Yeah, I
your
put little
sample
check
ballot.
marks, and then I also indicate if I like how their name sounds. It's kind of cool. Yeah, but
So you're not just prejudiced based upon looks. You're prejudiced based upon articulation of their name.
Yeah, they got to have a good name. They're talking about a judge. But what I really think, I spend most of the time looking at what do the guides say, what's their background, what did they do. But remember, these judges can make a big difference in your lives. So whether it's on the civil side or the criminal side, pay attention. Don't just check the box of the first guy on the list. It doesn't tell you whether they're a Democrat or a Republican. That kind of information's not there, and many of them are independents.
So here's some people you have got to look at. I'm just going to burn through the rest of these candidate statements. Robert C. Newman, unfortunately, didn't submit a picture again. Republican guy without a picture.
It's kind of scary.
Delane Easton was very articulate. Obviously, education is her thing. And I like what she said about budgets or statement of values. Unfortunately, she just started mentioning values that were all really socialist, so I skipped past her. But she has great commercials, too, and I like that she keeps it academic.
Yep.
My favorite of the entire voter
guide. She's a phenomenal candidate for governor. It really is. Oh, yeah. Peter.
Yeah.
Peter.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
wow.
Dude. Okay. Please, if you do nothing more this entire show or politically this entire election, will you please go to Peter Y. Liu, Republican candidate for governor in your California statewide direct primary official voter information guide. This looks like the dude in the final scene of Quentin Tarantino's fight scene with Uma Thurman in Kill Bill 2. No wording at all. Just hashtag CESP5, okay, with an email. And he is wearing the coolest hat. This Peter Y. Liu thing. I mean, this is amazing, and only in my state can I actually potentially be voting to put a man in charge of the 7th largest economy in the world with, I don't know, a Fu Manchu going on. This is amazing.
Now, there is one. I got to jump ahead.
Jump ahead.
To have enough time. My kids told me that if I brought this up, they would probably disown me. But Christopher Carlson from the Green Party says, teach your children calculus. And I said, the challenge is I only had to take intro to calculus twice. And I had a lot of people helping me get through it. And I do not want to have to learn it again. I agree. Everybody ought to know calculus. But that's not a reason to vote for you.
Oh, yeah. Do you know, I actually really liked his quote. Teach your children calculus.
It's awesome.
And keep the planet safe, or feathered stones and empty bowls will also be their fate. I mean,
I love it. I love it.
This man's a poet, and he's a Green Party, but he didn't even put an email address down, a phone number, nothing. We couldn't reach out to him. It's just at gooberthecandidate.com, which I don't know why I chose goober. I guess it's kind of a cool thing, saying I'm a goober.
Yeah.
But I would actually love to talk to this guy, and Greens are interesting. I was reading this. I had no idea, but Greens are not allowed to take corporate donations.
Oh, of any kind.
Yeah, it's a part of their party platform. It's zero corporate donations. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Yvonne Girard, I liked her. She is business, man. Just simple, short, sweet. Yvonne Girard, Republican.
Yeah, it's only the Republican word that really counts for him. But okay,
Look, she said, as a veteran and a governor, I will work to deregulate California and reduce taxes. I believe justice belongs to all, from babies in the womb, families of fallen military and first responders, to historical wrongs not fully amended for Japanese, Jewish, Armenian, Indigenous, and African Americans. That sentence right there should appeal to everybody in our state.
But I can't figure out how she's going to pay for everything, because she wants to give everybody food. She wants to give them all education and make it free.
She said no child should ever live in hunger. That's like a Bernie Sanders thing.
Well, of course, but she also wants to cut taxes. You can't do both. It's like taking us into a war, or two wars, and cutting taxes. Oh, excuse me, that was a Republican methodology that we used in the last campaign. Hey, the one you got to look at, though, the last one.
Okay.
Oh gosh, and I think my son has threatened to actually vote for this gentleman. It's the gentleman running for governor who says, "Why not?" I mean, come on, Johnny Wattenberg. I love it.
I remember on the very end of the candidate statements for governor, Johnny Wattenberg, no party preference, big, huge smile. I mean, this brother looks like he was just caught doing something illegal that is hilarious. And he just knows that he's going to be on the front page of the newspaper. And he said, why not?
Hey.
This is better than Tinder. He just got his face in front of like 500,000 women saying, I'm a gubernatorial candidate.
Yeah, it absolutely is funny. And compare him to Amanda Renteria, the previous page, where she's got a detailed document that describes her expertise in government, the things that she's going to do specifically for the state, all the various examples of real, hard, tough decisions. She's pointing to things that make sense and compared to why not.
Look, this shows you that I'm not always against you. I actually drew a smiley on this one.
Yeah, it's professional.
And I said, if you weren't a Democrat.
Mine was, she just doesn't have quite enough time or experience, but she is putting together a tough resume.
And then Travis Allen. Allen.
He's getting a lot of money and a lot of support. What's going on there?
Okay, I hear, first off, I like this as born and raised in California, not a carpetbagger. I've had amazing, I hate carpetbaggers.
Okay, I'm sorry. I came in here when I was in my 20s, but hey, I've been here about
that's different. No, that's
time.
different. That's not carpetbagging. I'm talking about, like, you know what Tony Strickland did, what Brian Caforio did, just moving up because the party wants you to take a weak seat.
Yeah, but you spend enough time. Brian Caforio now is a long-term guy.
Every
I know,
4
but Tony
years
Strickland wasn't, but okay.
Okay. Oh my gosh. If you Tony Strickland and Brian Caforio, the exact
Not
same
all
thing.
of us were born in Burbank. Come on.
Oh, my goodness gracious. Okay, so here we go. Born and raised in California, I've had amazing opportunities in the state. My wife and I are raising our daughters here. I became a financial advisor, and he gives his whole spiel, which is very good. And he's the only dude that started actually mentioning specific things in a very ordered format. 1, cut taxes for all Californians. 2, get tough on crime. 3, fix our roads and to reduce traffic. I think that resonates with everybody. And once again, provide the best education in America and complete a safe state water project. So this was great. Now, I hear this cat is working the system hard. Mm-hmm. That he is driving every single day to multiple events, that he's putting in the miles on his car, and that he's putting in the hard work. Unfortunately, he is not getting the due that he deserves, from what I understand.
He's like many who say, we're going to launch 2 wars and cut taxes. He wants to do all these projects. He wants to build the roads, make the schools safe, and spend all this money and build these things because it costs money. He wants to do all that and cut taxes. Folks, it's not free. We've got a wonderful example in Washington of let's cut the deficit. Let's expand the deficit, triple it, quadruple it, because, hey, we can cut taxes and we can expand our programs. It doesn't work, folks. It doesn't work in the state of California. It doesn't work in the United States.
I like it. I just heard a Democrat say that we have to cut taxes. This is awesome. In fact, I'm going to go on a break just thinking about how great what I just heard was.
Yeah, can we cut taxes? Okay, anyway, yeah, right, sure.
This is Problem Solver Politics. Don't touch that dial.
How did you become addicted? A friend? Were you at a party and someone said, hey, try this? Then you got the cold sweats and started shaking. And the more you did it, the more it didn't work. So you switched to the needle. Now you're a train wreck. Drinking, drugging, broke. Your family hates you. And you hate you. Get out of your hell on earth now. Call the Detox and Treatment Helpline today for immediate help. In many cases, your insurance may cover the costs. We can't guarantee it, but we can guarantee we have what you need to change your life for the better. Pick up your cell phone and call right now. 800-694-1135. 800-694-1135. 800-694-1135. That number again, 800-694-1135.
The popular summer beach bus is back. The city of Santa Clarita is now offering rides to Santa Monica Beach on Saturdays and Sundays now through September 2nd. Forget dealing with traffic or money for parking. Ride to the beach with ease on the city's comfortable, air-conditioned commuter express buses. Bring your beach chairs, coolers, and surfboards. Fares are only $3 each way for children and adults, $1.50 each way for seniors 60 years or older and persons with disabilities. For more information, visit SantaClaritaTransit.com.
At Advanced Audiology, we know how important hearing is to you, your loved ones, your work success, your safety, and your ability to stay in the game. Most people won't admit hearing loss to themselves or others. We make it easy for you. Today's digital hearing aids come in a variety of styles, including invisible. All feature-rich, providing unparalleled hearing quality, wearing comfort, and automation that simplifies your life. Don't be fooled by our imitators. There's only one Advanced Audiology with the purple sign next to AAA on Valencia Boulevard.
All right, welcome back to Problem Solver Politics. I'm here with Cardon. My name is Cardon Ellis, and I'm here with Mark Murphy.
You got to have a boomer to keep us straight and sane. Come on, I'm a Democrat, former Republican. What can I say?
Okay, so we're going to go over the last two candidates in the California statewide direct primary. First off, I have respect for anybody that runs. It's a difficult process to put yourself in front of everybody. There are some really fun snafus, though, that we have to highlight. Okay, so Michael Schellenberger. First off, thank you for having a picture, and also he seems like a nice guy. He's the only one that said "Dear friend." I am a lifelong progressive Democrat who has fought for social justice. This is the kind where it's. I look at it and I think, if I'm going to have a progressive Democrat friend, I want it to be this guy. That's just, dear friend.
Well, I love the fact that he got a hero of the environment. I mean, he tells you specifically what he's going after, whether it's on the dreamer side, if it's on the air side, the environment side. He's telling you what he's going to do. Now, track record? Does he have experience?
No, I like that he calls out specifically corrupt public utilities commissions, and I like that he says, okay, I'm going to fight this governmental institution that may be corrupt or this or that. But my only problem with all of these progressives in their current iteration,
we are so superior in our intellectual capacity.
Yeah, you're not even a progressive. Stop it. So my only beef is they're always wanting more government, and government is the thing that they're criticizing. So
Always.
wouldn't just eliminating the bureaucracy just be kind of the simplest and fastest thing than creating another bureaucracy to police the bureaucracy? There's always been that logical conundrum in my mind.
Yeah, it's like draining the swamp and bringing in the billionaires to fix it. Yeah, that makes sense.
You are brutal, man.
Hey,
you are
sometimes
just brutal.
It's 2 days of the primary.
So Nicholas Wildstar, first off, I love this guy. Okay? He says, I'm running for governor because elected politicians no longer represent the people of the state. As a 20-year working class professional, I will defend residents from unnecessary taxation, regulatory bureaucracy, and skyrocketing costs of living, period. As a libertarian, yada, yada, yada. Skip to this, and he says, bring back liberty, which is what the Libertarian Party is about, is liberty. Yeah. He's the only guy that actually used the word liberty that was a libertarian in the candidate, from what I remember.
I still think you're a closet libertarian.
And he smiles. Well, I would be, except for all the foreign policy nonsense, where it's just like,
among
come
others.
on. Yeah,
okay, so it's got to be a state for him. We'll put him all on.
And then there's Homeboy, why not? So let's skip to this. Let's skip to the governor. These things.
It's exciting.
This is wild. I could not believe when I got this. And to be honest with you, I received this. If you're watching us on Facebook Live, you may have received this mailer from Gavin Newsom that says, take a closer look at what California's next governor will do, right? Now, I didn't see the back when I first got it. I got the mail, and you'll see on front it says Democrat Gavin Newsom and Republican John Cox, with Gavin Newsom's name in blue and Republican John Cox in red, which is just the traditional party colors, have two very different plans for California's future. Okay, that's just a very general statement. And then he says, Gavin Newsom, with a decent picture of Gavin, not good enough where it's obviously a Democrat publication, but it says, stand up to President Donald Trump to protect California's interests, combat climate change and put California on a path to 100% renewable energy, protect immigrant families, continue to push for tougher gun safety laws. Okay, at that point, you can pretty much realize that, okay, this is a pro-Gavin Newsom thing. But what's hilarious, and I've read a couple of articles from some pretty prominent news agencies saying that Gavin Newsom has shot himself in the foot a little bit with this mailer, because here's John Cox, where obviously all they did was try and desaturate his picture a little bit without looking like they did. So it just looks like they gave him a darker tan instead of making him look bad like the infomercials. But it says, John Cox, endorsed by President Donald Trump. Now, the intern that was making this PDF was like, psh, endorsed by President Donald Trump.
We know what happened to endorsements in Alabama from that.
Yeah, that was
president.
Horrible, though. That was horrible.
Necessarily. I don't think
a bad candidate can't get elected, no matter how many endorsements he has.
I don't think he's endorsing, because, quite frankly, he doesn't know we even exist out here.
Okay, well, either way, all it does is say endorsed by President Donald Trump, and then here's his bullet points. John Cox says, cut taxes and continue to support President Trump's tax cuts. Support tough border security and building President Trump's wall. stand up for the Second Amendment and believes California has more than enough gun laws. These are all good things. These are all good things that most moderate Republicans want to hear. And then so Gavin Newsom, obviously, maybe something was lost in translation and the angry tone of, John Cox wants to cut taxes and continue to support President Trump's tax cuts. Dude, every Howard Jarvis person out here is thinking, sweet! And
Yeah.
Gavin Newsom just paid for John Cox's biggest commercial in a side-by-side mailer that's bigger than my head.
Well, I think this is part of the challenge. We have a Northern California, San Francisco Democrat running against a Los Angeles, Southern California Democrat. Both of them had a lot of success in terms of cutting expenses, balancing their budgets, getting people working, getting out of their deep recession. They did a lot of stuff. They both have a completely different view of a lot of stuff because they come from two different worlds.
So here, I'm curious.
But we're one state, and then you got a couple Republicans running against them.
So I'm not voting for Gavin Newsom, but
I can't imagine why.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm voting for John Cox because I got to tell you, Travis Allen's working so hard. I got respect for that.
Well, that's part of it. You hope you got a governor and I got to tell you, the current governor, the one thing you can accuse him of is he works his tail off. I hope that we have a new governor that works as hard as this one does.
So you're voting for Gavin?
No.
Oh, you're not?
No.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm from Southern California, dude. Come on.
So you're going to vote for John Cox?
What?
Oh, you got to tell me. So who are you voting for?
Well, who do you think? Unfortunately, you got to vote with your Southern California guy.
So Travis Allen.
He is, kind of drives around. I don't see him in the area, and
wait, no. So I'm confused. You're voting for the bus driver. Wait, no, that's for the state senate seat. That's
I hate to say it, but it's the guy running for president. Come on, here.
Oh my gosh, you're voting for Antonio Villaraigosa?
No choice. I mean,
he's like bankrupt and sleeping on his friend's couch.
He's gonna make it all the way to the White House. So I'm just starting with him now. Vote for your school. Vote for your county. Vote for the guy who fixed the local economy, didn't let the city go bankrupt, got a lot of things fixed, and, he's going to make some things happen. Anyway, we've had a lot of fun doing this.
Yeah, this has been amazing. I'm going to go take some blood pressure medication and hopefully do something to edit the last 10 seconds of this broadcast. Be here next week, Sundays, 7 to 9. This is Problem Solver Politics with Cardon Ellis and Mark Murphy.
Yo!
Every year, thousands of local children, teens, and adults receive treatment at the Child and Family Center for depression, anger, anxiety, abuse, thoughts of suicide, and drug and alcohol addictions. Our professional staff provides outpatient services at office locations, in the home, the community, and on many elementary, junior, and high school campuses throughout our valley. If you need help, contact Child and Family Center at 259-9439 or childfamilycenter.org.